What's good, my friends? Welcome back to the Let's Go Win podcast. I just had somebody the other day say, what's good? And I was like, you know what? I love that one, man. It makes me smile. I hadn't heard it in a while. But anyway, welcome back to Let's Go Win podcast, where we're here to help you be happy, healthy, wealthy, and get better every single day. Episode we're going to have is remarkable. His story is really amazing, and some of his stories of how he got to it. You're just going to love the episode. An experienced salesman, Bennett Maxwell, has been making use of this skill since his days of selling candy bars in elementary school. Sharing his sales and business expertise, Bennett is a member of the Forbes Business Council and Apex Executives. He's also traded in his elementary school candy bar business for something slightly bigger. Bennett is currently lowering business barriers and raising mental health awareness through his cookie selling franchise, Dirty Dough. He stands for authenticity and self-acceptance, encouraging others to come as they are. You might even say that from a business perspective, Bennett is one tough cookie. I know this is going to be an amazing show just because of what he talked about: mental health awareness, self-acceptance, authenticity. I mean, these are three of my favorite things, brother. I'm so glad that it's in your bio and intro. I can't wait to hear why it's important to you, but more importantly, how you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good for a Tuesday morning, is about as good as it gets. So
Tuesday mornings can be busy, man. I got to tell you, it's been one after another since about 4 a.m. this morning, just going. But I'm just going to start with mental health awareness. You don't see that often, where this is like your focus, even before we even talk about anything else about your business. Why? What is there a story for that, Bennett? Why is that so important to you, man?
Yeah, before I got into Dirty Dough, I had a solar company, and we were briefly talking about that out in San Diego, and it was a pretty quick run. After about a year of founding it with my brother, I purchased Dirty Dough. And then now I'm trying to do two companies at the same time with little experience. Sucked. So anyways, within about 6 months, the opportunity presented itself to sell the solar company and go full-time into Dirty Dough. So sold it. And before selling it, I set all these goals. I was 28 at the time. So this was almost 3 years ago. I'm 31 now. And it was, I'm going to feel a certain way when XYZ happens. And for me, that was when I achieved, $1 million net worth before the age of 30. So I got I was 310 pounds, so 100 pounds heavier than I was right now. I'm married, I have 3 kids, and I just really put my relationships with them to the side because I was working for them so they could have more money because of a bunch of other lies that I told myself. When I sold the company, I felt great, but that didn't last. You quickly go back to your normal baseline levels of joy, fulfillment, happiness, whatever. So I started doing some soul searching and what am I about? How can I readjust my life so this next company and these next actions I take are more impactful? So that's when I really started narrowing down on mental health. I started seeing a therapist to figure out what emotions really drive me, finding my mission statement, which is joy and fulfillment despite life's dirtiness. So in my story, it speaks directly to, don't wait to sell the solar company in order to find the joy and fulfillment. And then I had to, kind of find a way to tie it into Dirty Dough. So Dirty Dough, we do multi-layered cookies, stuffed cookies. So it's like a plain looking peanut butter cookie on the outside. But when you break it open, there's a chocolate dough with a hot fudge center. So I related that to what I believe is causing the mental health crisis is the expectations versus reality on social media. Our expectations are here, but our reality is here. So it's like, well, let's bring back the expectations back to reality. These are, plain looking cookies, but the goodness is on the inside, and, drew a correlation across that to our product. So before you walk into a Dirty Dough store, it says, we care about your feelings, on the outside. And then you walk in and it says the inside matters most, and each of the packaging, life gets messy and that's okay. Perfectly imperfect, things like that. And it's just supposed to be a reminder that you could be happy and find the goodness of life without waiting for that big XYZ moment. So anyways, sorry, that was a little bit longer than I'd like, but that's the brief summary. And then we've just started a nonprofit to build K through 12 schools and wellness centers around the franchise.
Well, I absolutely love that. I mean, fascinating to begin with. So let me get this straight. Dude buys a cookie company and drops 100 pounds. Typically, I'm thinking maybe it's the other way around, brother. Yeah. So with joking aside, congratulations. You look fantastic. I have a similar story, but I want to hear yours. Where do we start? Let's talk about dropping 100 pounds. Where did that start? Why was that, such an important piece for you to really get to being your best self, having self-acceptance? There's so many layers. And again, there's so many and things I want to go with. I see why having your company must be a lot of fun, but gosh, you literally lost 100 pounds doing a cookie company. That doesn't necessarily add up. So tell me more about it.
Yeah, I guess the catalyst was just thinking about my kids and like, okay, I need to change something because there's always, in my mind, especially when I was door knocking, because I did a lot of that, and it's like, well, I could take a 5-minute break and grab McDonald's, or I could take a 30-minute break and actually eat some healthy food. So no, I'm going to take the 5-minute break so I could go make another sell, So it was just priorities weren't there. And then and I'm only 5'8", so 310 pounds at 5'8", you're breathing hard when you go up the stairs. And with 3 kids, and I'm always, every day I'm trying to do something with them, play with them. It's like, I just was getting tired. So I decided I wrestled in high school. So I'm like, I would always cut 40 pounds. Like I got how to do it, but with the demands of work and I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to do something that forces me to lose weight. And it's something that I've had 2 siblings and a mom do. And it was a gastric sleeve surgery. So they go in there, they sew your stomach, and they make it literally 4 ounces. That's all your stomach can hold. So that was about 2 years ago. And I started seeing great progress, but I hit a plateau. And then I really got into blood work. So getting blood work done every other month, lots of supplementation. And then I started getting my hormones right as well. The big thing was testosterone. My testosterone levels were at 202. Now I'm at 800, and I just feel like a new freaking person. So it was the gastric sleeve surgery. And then just like, it's momentum, right? And that gastric sleeve surgery forced me to get going and probably to lose the first 60, 70 pounds. And then after that, I'm like, oh no, this is a great lifestyle. You actually feel good and you eat good and you have energy and you can work and think clear. So it's been a really fun process for me.
Well, congrats on it, man. I mean, you're right. Once it's kind of like that snowball rolling down the hill, it does build momentum, which is amazing. I didn't expect to go this place, but I am curious. 200. I mean, guys, for those that don't know hormone levels, that is really low. And he's 31 now. These are extremely low numbers. It's not a personal, that's not an attack. It's just his body wasn't really, it's like the body wasn't responding. It's losing something. So did you do hormone replacement therapy? Is that what you're doing today? If you don't mind sharing, just because I never talk about this stuff, but I'm a huge fan of people figuring this out, because when your biology is not working with you, when it's literally your body it's not supporting what really it should be doing. 200 at 30 years old is so low. So what are you doing to address that?
So this was like right up before my surgery, actually. So about 2 years ago, the first time I got on it, and I was probably eating 3,500 calories, coffee in the morning, energy drink in the afternoon, and still tired. I went cold turkey. No, you can't do any caffeine. And then I was on maybe 500 calories, and I stuck to that for months. I mean, again, your stomach's 4 ounces. So what can you fit in there? So I got on the testosterone, 0 caffeine, 500 calories, and I had more energy, oddly enough, than on 3,500 calories with coffee and an energy drink every day. Lost some weight, got off of it. And I guess that first time when I got the results in, the doctor called me, and I just got it tested because somebody else recommended, hey, go get a full blood panel, make sure to check your hormones. I had no idea that they were low. And she's like, you're probably not motivated. You don't see results in the gym. You're depressed. You have issues getting out of bed. I'm like, not really. Well, then I got on it, and then I got off of it to see how I felt after I lost weight, and they were still in the 200s. And I just felt so shitty. So I got back on it in November of last year. So I've been on it for almost a year and a half. I do 2 injections a week, still get my blood test every other month. So and oddly enough, over the last however many months, I'm slowly lowering my dose, because for whatever reason, it looks like something else I'm doing is increasing it. So,
well, again, I don't talk about this. I just wanted people to hear this, because I love that he's doing blood work as frequently. He's staying ahead of any potential health challenges. And again, it's not, his body was just not producing the testosterone that it should have been at his age. That is not uncommon, by the way. If you're feeling down, I will get off the subject now. We'll move on. Why cookie dough, man? I mean, solar to cookies, or sorry, I shouldn't say cookie. I just cookies and dirty dough. How did that? Where did you find that? What was the inspiration to saying, yeah, man? I love the name too. Dirty dough's awesome. But how did you choose this?
Yeah, it was a guy that I went to high school with here in Utah. Crumble's out of here. There's a few other cookie companies that came before Crumble, and they're blown up. And he moved down to Arizona, going to college, and he's like, I want to be the first gourmet cookie in Arizona, which he was, and that was Dirty Dough, end of 2018. Threw it up on Facebook. I'm selling out of cookies most nights. I'm looking for an investor to open up the first storefront. So I invested in 2019 for that storefront to open up in 2020, and then at the end of the year, I ended up purchasing it from him because I was pushing him to franchise. He didn't want to franchise it. I have no background in food or franchising. But I'm like, hey, these other guys are doing it. And my mentality has always been like, what is JM doing, or what is anybody doing that I'm not able to learn or find somebody that already knows how to do it? So I kind of had that that mindset, for the better, for the worse. And I purchased from about 3 years ago. But yeah, again, it was just an opportunity, and I was coming off of a podcast that I heard true wealth is in buying real estate and businesses. And I'm like, maybe I had 5 rental properties. Cool. Got some real estate, businesses. And this was just the first opportunity that even came across my desk, I get, to purchase a company. So rolled the dice, took a risk, and it's been crazy, crazy good, crazy hell, crazy. But we've accomplished quite a bit. I mean, last year we went from 7 stores open to over 70 in 12 months. So it's been pretty rapid.
Wow. So did you choose the franchise model? I mean, that growth is absolutely fantastic. What is what are you guys doing to grow? I mean, that's fantastic. You have to have an amazing culture, amazing product, obviously. But I think everybody listening is like, yeah, man, I want that growth.
Yeah.
7 to 70? That's insane.
I think there's a lot of benefit for this not being my company in a sense, right? Like, I'm not emotionally attached to grandma's recipe. I'll change any and everything as long as it allows franchisees to succeed. But thinking from a salesperson, like, what is the business that I can create that I know people will buy? So I need to know what, the market needs are. And to me, talking to, dozens, if not hundreds of people before I even franchise it, I'm just like, hey, here's my idea. Would you buy a franchise? And then hearing the feedback and then going and creating that. So right now, the gourmet cookie space is, here's a recipe, go find your own spot, order your own ingredients, deal with your own waste, mix 60 cookies at a time, weigh it by hand, hire teenagers, college kids, good luck. Where I'm taking a much different approach with Dirty Dough, it's, here's a pre-portioned stuffed cookie, and I'm going to ship it to you frozen, no preservatives, 18 months shelf life, third-party tested. Every cookie's been cooked, formulated to cook for the same time, temperature, and fan speed, and the oven's already programmed. So put the cookie in, press start. So I think the simplicity of the model, you don't need all the equipment. You don't need to deal with your waste. You get lower labor, things like that. And you can operate out of 600 square feet. So in an up economy or a down economy, you could survive those down economies because your break even so low. So that was kind of the first year developing, how do we make this the most simplistic food franchise model? And then it was kind of building the team around that. Brought on a CEO early on that has 40 years of experience in food and franchising. Now we have the former CEO of Jimmy John's, and a whole management group that kind of came on to support us. Because aside from the 70 that we went from 7 to 7, we also have sold 450. So we have to go open up a shiz ton more. So bringing in the right team, creating the model. And then we did have a little bit of luck or unluck, depending on how you look at it. We were sued by Crumble, the largest competitor in the space. And we responded with some billboards that made national news and some fun social media things about the lawsuit. It's all settled now, but it did get us on CNBC and Good Morning America and gave us, millions of views that then allowed us to convert those to franchise sales.
So we get sued from the biggest competitor, and we turn it into, all right, there's some amazing publicity because of some awesome billboards. I mean, brother, you have this way about you. Again, you and I haven't talked long, but it seems like you're having fun. And I'm curious if that's strategic. Again, we're talking about mental health awareness, and we're talking about being authentic. So it sounds like you're like, look, man, I'm not going to take life too seriously. I'm having some fun. Oh, we get sued. Let's throw up a cool billboard. What do you know? We're crazy growth. I don't know. What is the culture of the company? How? Well, I I don't know where to take this question other than I love it,
Yeah.
and it's obviously working. Is that by design, or is that just who you are? What is that all about?
I mean, I think both it's who I am and then it was by design. And the reason I'm distinguishing that is because I think that's always kind of just been my attitude, but I didn't define it until I went through exiting the solar company, going and seeing a therapist, business coach, reading a book, writing my own obituary, and really defining mission statement and then core values. And one of those core values is optimism. I put thoughtfully optimistic because I had to fit in dirty, the T, right? But it's we know that life isn't going to be perfect, right? So we expect challenges, we embrace them, and we have fun with them. So I do think again, it's kind of in me. I don't take anything that seriously, and I do think that is very healthy from a mental health standpoint. And I do a lot of meditation and like mainly Eastern philosophy, which is all just watch the river go by, right? Don't try to control anything that's Taoism or Buddhism or Hinduism. It's and that's what I gravitate to. So I definitely think it helps me stay in that mindset of having fun, and also like why it's so important to have fun, because at the end of the day, like you can't control much. Like we couldn't get control being sued. They sued a lot of other companies. We're the only ones that really rode the wave, and it was because I really think that authenticity. I mean, you get sued by $1 billion competitor. We were at one location and they were doing $1 billion in revenue, and it's like, crap, what do you do? And I think most people did kind of would shy away from it, but we did have fun. I mean, the billboards were like, our cookies don't crumble with competition, or taste buds so good we're being sued. And this is like Mormonville, right? Utah County on I-15, which is the main highway, and it has like a picture of cookies blurred out with the word censored, like you're looking at a pornographic image. But I definitely think it's been a fun ride so far.
I've been down I-15 many times. I've driven by it. So I don't know how I missed this. This is fantastic. You mentioned your core values and you mentioned it fitting into T. How many core values does a company have?
5, because I spelled them out with dirty. So I made my core values and I tried to do some wordsmithing to make them a little bit more memorable.
I like it. Now, the question is, you're growing this fast. How do you keep that culture within the franchise? Because that would be the challenge, right? The more you can keep it authentic, exactly how it was created, how do you get that to really be bought into, plugged into? So when I go to Dirty Dough in Salt Lake versus, I don't know, do you have one in Little Rock, but let's say I'm in Little Rock, how do you keep it so it is the same, brother, and you get that buy-in? Because I would imagine the companies I had before, that was a challenge, is to say, this is who we are, this is how we're going to continue to show up and be a differentiator from the competition. Has that been a challenge, or has that been something that people have accepted pretty openly?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a challenge, but because of the model that we do, like the product itself, most of the quality, other than putting it in the oven, that's not on a corporate level. So it does make it a lot easier to run the stores and not have to worry about so many things. Greet the customers, and keep the store clean. So I definitely think that gives us more consistency. But hiring people that know branding and messaging and sticking with it right at the beginning. So because it's a franchise and we do have quite a bit of control, like every single door does have a sticker that says we care about your feelings. And every time you walk in, you see an oven and above it says the inside matters most. And then there's a wall on the side, like we did have it designed right from the beginning, that like the messaging, the branding is the same. The product's the same. Now the experience could still be different based on, how friendly the employee is. Are they using the script and things like that? And that is a lot more challenging. And there's things that you can do there, using AI and audio through the cameras to see if which we're all trying to build out. So it's definitely a challenge, but I think that because from day one, we're going to put everything in place and the foundation in place to get to 1,000 locations, then when the rapid growth came a lot quicker than what we thought, we were kind of already set up for it.
That's amazing. So I hear the goal in there, 1,000 locations. Is that a 5-year goal, 1 year goal? I mean, shoot, with the growth you're having, man, that could be a freaking 6-month goal. I mean, what are you guys
5 year
looking at
goal.
on that?
5 year goal is what we're shooting for. So I got maybe 4 years left since we started opening up the stores.
Wow.
And we'll see. And that is exciting, but it's also just a number, right? It's like it's a nice round number. What gets me a little bit more excited is every franchise we open, we want to build a mental health wellness center. So you get a small classroom in a K through 12 school and you convert it to a place where kids come in and they typically serve two functions. One is identifying emotions. I mean, it wasn't until my 20s that I knew probably the difference between frustration and anger. It's like, it's just an emotion that I don't like. So having kids come in there, learning how to identify emotion, rank them on, 1 to 5, 1 to 10, whatever it is, and then choosing a different science-based activity, a guided meditation course or breath work or whatever it is, and then seeing how that adjusted their emotion as they identified on the way out. So the kids are in there for like 10 minutes. They're popping up all over the country. I think that would be cool. Like, what if we had 1,000 of those and each one is, more or less attached to a store, integrating the community, and then every day you're educating, thousands of kids potentially on regulating emotions and how to identify them.
Yeah, I imagine a community would welcome that. I mean, everybody loves cookies. That's an easy one, right? Like,
That is,
yeah,
yeah.
man, cookies are amazing. That sounds awesome. Saying, hey, we also want to pair this with a mental health center, mental health awareness center, whatever that is. I imagine communities would hop on that like a fumble. Like, yeah, man, of course. I'm not sure how to tie the cookie to that. You're clearly good with wordsmithing and marketing. I mean, was this all your creation, coming up with these ideas? The what did you say? The good stuff is in the middle. Is that
Yeah.
you, man? Who came up with this?
A lot of it was me. I mean, I'm the one who pushed it because I wanted messaging in there because again, I felt pretty empty when I sold the solar company. And I shouldn't say I felt empty when I sold it. I felt great, but like a week or two goes by and you're just like, now what? And what I noticed is I automatically set the next goal. And then I started working nights and weekends again. I'm like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. It's just going to be a different goal. And every time I'm going to get there and I'm going to like it, but not as much as I thought. It's not going to be as lasting as what I thought it was. Then I'm going to immediately set the next goal and then just watch my whole life go by as I'm searching for these goals. So one of the things was, Dirty Dough, you mentioned the name. It sounds cool. And I also like it. Why was it named Dirty Dough? Just because it sounds cool. If you ask anybody in the company now, dirty dough means the dough is dirty because we focus on the inside of the cookie because we know the inside matters most, right? So I did tie that in, and then we have great creative help from the marketing. But as far as just having a message and wanting to push that has been me. I think I could have done a better job because I'm still learning this as I go, which I also think is a great like going back to authenticity and having a good mood. It's just, I know I don't know anything. I'm not trying to act like I've been in food or franchising. Like, it is easier to have fun with it when there aren't any crazy expectations or like, this is how I did it, so this is how I have to do it going forward. It's just kind of like, hey, I'm figuring it out and I'm messing up all the time, but some things I'm doing right.
Well, one of the big shifts that I heard from Solar Company to Dirty Dough, where you said, look, we have something cool here, but you had the humility or the foresight to say, I do need CEO. I need some executives that have this experience. We have something cool here, but it doesn't have to all be me. You took the ego, put it aside. That doesn't happen often with people that have something cool. Normally they'll hang on like, hey man, we got something cool. I want the accolades. I wanna be the 3-lettered CEO, where everybody's like, hey, here's the man. There's a huge shift that happened for you, either incredible therapist or I don't know. How did that happen, brother? Because again, you're only 31, and I mean this. It's remarkable how mature you really are to make these decisions so quickly.
E-Myth Revisited, if you've ever heard of that book. And the E is entrepreneur myth. And the example that they use in the book is a baker. I'm a great baker. So now, therefore, I'm going to create my own bake shop. And then it goes over the challenges of, no, you really didn't create your own bake shop. You're not really, it's the myth of being an entrepreneur. You're not an entrepreneur. You don't own a business. You own your own job. Because if you don't show up, you don't get paid. and it's a shitty job because you work the longest hours and you get paid less. So that kind of got me in the mindset of like, work on your business, not in your business. I know what I'm good at, and I like sales, and that's what I've stuck with: sales and investor relationships, raising capital, and then hired somebody that knew what they're doing. So, yeah, I mean, I think it definitely helped, but also, who's going to buy a franchise from Bennett? Not many people, right? Who's going to buy a franchise from Jill Summerhays? She was our first CEO. She started a company 40 years ago, grew it to 650 plus units before selling it, called Maui Wowie Swings of Coffee. Like, people are going to trust her more than they're going to trust me. And I know that because I know of my lack of experience. So I think maybe it's humility. Maybe it's also still acting in self-interest of like, I can have a bigger, faster growing company, more established if I have a CEO. And yeah, a title. I've never worked in a corporate job ever. So I'm like, I don't even know what a freaking title is. When people are like, what's my title? And you hire me, you're like, I don't know. What do you want it to be? How do you choose this stuff? Like, whatever. Let's throw something at the wall and see what sticks.
I love it. Well, and I hope it continues to be infused because it is as big as you grow in, it's become very corporate and you're having a very anti-corporate attitude, which I think is refreshing. I think it lends to the success. One of the topics here is communication strategies. I'm going from fun to, okay, now we're going to talk, how do we do this? It's one of the biggest challenges as you have growth is how do we communicate, from that cascading communication from the CEO all the way down to, employee number 1,001, whatever the last employee is. How do you guys effectively do that? Because again, we have so much coming at us, man. We got email, we have Slack, we have text. How have you guys done a good job of saying, look, here's who we are? I know you made it super simple to say, here's the product coming from the corporate. Like literally, JM could do this. I'm not a good baker. I could put that in and push start as long as I hit the alarm to say, pull it out at the right time. But you've made it so easy. But how have you been able to communicate as effectively to grow? Because that's a challenge that most of us face.
And I'm going to talk a little bit more on franchising, even though I have limited experience. But you start with one of whatever you're doing, right? And then you go to two, and then you work out some kinks, and then you go to three. I mean, it was June of 2022 that we opened up our first franchise. So it was very quick. But again, we were preparing for the speed and developing, well, what are the processes? So like, there's a lot of back and forth communication from the time a franchisee signs to when they open up the store. So we built 107 build out checklist, 107 steps that it's like, this is where you click to download your permit and to sign it and to upload it. And it's just making the communication very clear, cut and dry. As far as, again, I'm kind of speaking of communication more towards franchisees. When you communicate too much, it all gets lost. So we just send them one weekly communication on Wednesdays, the brand update email. And then we've been doing monthly calls with them as well. And not all of them attend, maybe a third of them will attend because a lot of them still don't have locations open. And then all of those are recorded and then saved on our admin portal so they can go see them and also sent to them, which I still doubt that they are reviewing them. As far as the communication more in the organization, I guess the tool we use is Slack. Can we be better at communication? Yes, I guess I'm going to focus more on the negative. Like, we closed up a store for whatever reason, and some employees still showed up. They didn't know the store was closed that day, So I know there's way better ways, going from 0 or let's say 10 to 150 employees in a year. It's like we're making mistakes all the time. At least on the franchise side, I think we're doing a decent job on communication. On the employee side, I haven't dove a ton into that, but I do know that we could improve.
I'm curious just because I don't know, my brain was going there. How many cookies of your own do you have a week? Because again, I'm thinking of this guy that went from big to small. Cookies don't lend to staying small if we're having them too often. I'm sure they're very healthy. I'm sure they're amazing cookies. But how many cookies do you have a week, brother?
They are not healthy, and I probably don't even have a cookie a week. I'll go in, and this is also a different relationship with your body. When you have a small stomach, and you're raised, you finish your plate because you can always fit 5 more bites. You can't do that anymore. Like you're finished, you take another bite, you just feel sick. So that kind of forced me to develop a new relationship with food, which has been very healthy. It's like our cookies are 5.2 ounces before any toppings on them. I cut them into 6 for the taste testing, and I take 1 bite of it and then I throw the rest away because I'm like, I can enjoy it and I can still get the full flavor in 1 bite. I don't need to eat the whole thing. And again, it's also, I have the benefit in my view, like I will actually, I won't feel well if I eat a whole cookie. I mean, they're like 600 calories of just sugar and fat, So I definitely recognize that, and I'm like, a bite's good enough for me.
So you bought this company in 2020, you said?
2021.
2021. So we're in pandemic. I'm guessing you dealt with some challenges here because we still were just coming out of the being in person. It's an interesting time that you bought this company and yet have continued to have this growth. What have been some of the challenges that you've had as obviously, because this is retail, right? I mean, people come into the store in order to do it. Did you face any challenges, or was it pretty seamless for you? Because again, you have this attitude where it's like, yeah, all right, we got a challenge, we're going to oversee it. We get sued, put up billboards. I mean, it's pretty remarkable, but I am curious. The timing is pretty interesting to buy something retail and yet to have such success.
It didn't even cross my mind, honestly. Like, hey, I'm in the middle of COVID. I should probably not buy this business. I'm just like, because I had a door-to-door. I mean, we did online marketing, but I had a door-to-door company in California during COVID. It's just like you deal with it, and we did fine during it. And that was like right when we started. It was 3 months later, that COVID happened. So I guess because it's a circumstance that I don't control. Everybody else, all competitors have to deal with it. I could deal with it. I think I kind of had that attitude more. As far as, was it easy? Is it easy? Heck no, not even close. I mean, the growth is great, right? And selling franchises is great, but it forces you to grow a lot quicker than really what the plan was, which again, there's benefits to that because it's all economies of scale. The more stores we have open, the better purchasing power, cost comes down for everybody. But if you add a product and you're already 70 stores in, then do you retrofit it? There's a lot of other challenges. So I think the rapid growth has been a challenge. I think getting stores open in a timely manner, that's mainly contractors and cities and permits, but I guess predicting their delays better. That's been a big challenge. On the marketing side, we've gone through every, what works best. And what we found so far is Facebook and Instagram suck. You spend $1, you get 10 cents, and your marketing company says, oh, but you get the brand awareness. And it's like, okay. Or you spend that same dollar on DoorDash and you get $4 back instead of 10 cents. So marketing has, always been, how do you get the customers in the door? And then how do you keep them with all the different ways that you can advertise? So I think that's always, I guess, a work in progress. And again, at the beginning, we opened up so many stores. We had a 3-day training. We had like a few days online, come to Utah for 3 days. Now that training's 2 weeks, and it's still so simple. It's like, we're not teaching you how to put cookies more, in the oven again, but it's how to contact local businesses, how to run a P&L, hiring strategies, HR, inventory, and really running more in depth of running a business rather than how to run a cookie business.
At what point did you know you were an entrepreneur? Because you mentioned you've never had a title and corporate's not really your thing, but clearly being an entrepreneur is just, it seems like it's in your DNA. Was that something that your folks modeled for you? Like, where did this come from, man? Because it's like, it seems like Bennett graduated high school. Maybe you're running businesses in high school for all I know, but it's like you knew, man, I'm an entrepreneur. And my youngest boy is 100% this. So I expect your path will be similar to his, or, to where he's just going to take this thing on. And it's remarkable, man, that I guess my question is, when did you know you were an entrepreneur?
I was talking I went swimming at my dad's place over the weekend, and I grew up one of 9 kids. My parents were divorced. I grew up with my mom, but my dad was around here and there. Anyways, he was telling me a story the other day. He's like, remember that person you sold the snow shovel to? And I was like, no. He's like, yeah, you were selling snow shovels door to door. I was like, no, I wasn't. He's like, that for sure was you. Um, in elementary, I sold candy bars at school. I did lemonade stands on the corner and shaved ice stands. And I don't remember doing the shovels. These are snow shovels, I guess I was selling door to door. I remember doing lawn aeration in junior high, selling it door to door. So it's kind of always always been something. And then to pay for high school sports, it's like you have to come up with a few $100 for football camp or go cold knock a business and sell them a banner for $500. And I was the only kid that did that. And I mean, it was literally cold knocking on businesses. So I think I did have the example, and I kind of had I, of the 9 kids, 7 of us are boys, you know, so I'm always hanging out with my brothers. We're doing these things together. My dad was an entrepreneur, even though he didn't live with us. And I think that example was there, but I think that's just how it always has been. You want to go get a few bucks, go knock some doors and sell some shit. And it's like, okay, I could go do that.
Yet it's one of the most challenging things for people. In fact, some people would rather literally perish than go knock on that door. Bennett, is this just if you were to give somebody advice? Because again, if salespeople listening right now, you seem to have a high level of activity. Regardless of what's happening, you know, hey man, I can go knock on the door. I can go call on the next investor. Yet fear often keeps people from hitting their goals. What would you say to them so they could start hitting some of their goals? Because again, we might solve a great mystery right here for salespeople worldwide where they're like, yeah, man, I don't want to knock on that door. I don't want to make that phone call. But Bennett clearly has it figured out.
I did door to door, I did pest control, and then direct TV, security systems, and then solar. I mean, this was all 6 years, I think. So just a year or two of each. Lived in a bunch of different states. I will still get anxiety if I go knock doors right now. It doesn't go away. At least for me, it didn't. And talking with a lot of people, it doesn't go away. It's just you learn to deal with it. And like fear is an emotional response in the body, but and again, this is maybe me getting a little bit too much of the meditation side, but like, what is fear actually? It's just a signal to your brain. I could deal with that. Like, there's a signal to my brain telling me to be hesitant to knock on this door. Got it, registered. Thank you, brain. I'm going to do it anyway. Because it's my body's not in any, you know, obviously it's not in physical harm. So I think it's changing the relationship, but also the expectation of one day this is going to get easier and you'll get more efficient at it. But I think the nerves, at least for me, like I don't want to go knock doors today. I know that I can, and that I'm confident in doing it, but it's not something that I still have to fight to resist it. And then that kind of leads me to the other thing is, you know, your mindset, you could go so far, but depending on the state of your brain, you need something more drastic to change that. Go jump in an ice bath. Like if you don't want to go knock doors, go jump in an ice bath, and it will give you more dopamine than sex, and even, you know, comparable to cocaine, but for hours long, you know? So there's ice bath, and which I have in one in my garage, and a sauna, and I do red light, and then, you know, going to the gym helps a ton, giving you energy, eating healthy. Honestly, just, I mean, coffee, the studies on just having coffee in the morning, but not right when you wake up, but an hour after, and how much you should, like, there's a lot of things that you could do to change the physiological state of your body to get into better mindsets, because I don't always feel energetic. And when you don't, it is hard to be like, oh, well, I feel tired, and that's just a thought. And it's like, well, I still feel tired, you know? So kind of using both strategies on recognizing the emotion or thought for what it is, as well as using external things to actually change the physiological state of your body.
The other thing I love about what you said is you're like, look, man, it didn't go away. It's not like I love doing this. I just go and do it anyway. Thank you, fear. I hear you. I'm safe. The tiger's not going to jump on me. I can go ahead and knock on the door. I could go a million ways, but I just think you're an interesting dude. So we could go into brain hack or biohacking for days based on what you just said. But I'm curious if there's something that you want to make sure to give to the audience as we start to wrap up. What didn't I know enough to ask you, Bennett? You and I don't know each other well. I'm sure I missed something. What is it that you want to make sure to impart with the audience?
I think the biggest thing that's helped me in the business is getting clear on a mission statement, where it's before it's like, well, I want a business because I want more money. and I want more money because of XYZ. And it's very surface level because I want my family to have nice things. I want to go on more vacations. I want more time off. I want time freedom. It's like, well, what are you going to do with your time freedom? But more importantly, how are you going to feel whenever you do whatever you're going to do? And it's narrowing down what the hell you're after. It has to be an emotion, because that's all we're after. We're emotional creatures, which is so funny because I grew up like, I don't even have emotion. I'm all logic, but I'm like, logically, we're emotional creatures. That's just who we are. So for me to go down and say, what are my decisions going to be based on? It's based on bringing joy and fulfillment to myself and others. And that gives you 1,000. It's just a different measuring stick to make business decisions on, rather than what's going to make the company the most money. Well, is it going to make the company the most money today, tomorrow, in the future? Like, it's way easier. Just go back to the mission statement, go back to the emotion. It's like, I want more joy and fulfillment. I will feel more joy and fulfillment if I have a lesser percentage of the company and bring in this investor, rather than like, oh, I need to hang on to my equity because that's what somebody told me to do because it could be worth so much someday, So I think that would be the first piece of advice. And then if you haven't checked out the E-Myth Revisited, that's great in actually starting a business. But at the end of the day, you're going to feel lost. And guess what? Everybody freaking does. And unless you don't, JM, I haven't found anybody that's just like, what the hell is going on with this life? I just feel like not too many people talk about it. They're like, Dirty Dough, such a success. I was like, take a look under the hood. I don't know if you like, I'll trade you for a few days if you want. It's freaking crazy. Yes, there's great things, but there's also bad things. Kind of back to the door-to-door thing. Like, it's never going to get perfect. Don't expect it to get perfect. Just work through it and be grateful and enjoy the beauty of life.
Yeah, any entrepreneur or business owner that says it's all sunshine and rainbows is full of shit. So, yeah, man, we're all lost. We're all imposters at some point, yet you just continue to move forward. I want to just clarity on the mission statement because I love it. You tied everything back, and I thought I heard the mission statement, but I want to hear it. Like mine is to inspire people to live their best lives. That's what Let's Go Win is. That's what gets me out of bed. I want to hear it one more time, Bennett, because you mentioned joy and happiness, but I didn't get it. So can you say it one more time?
Yeah. Finding joy and fulfillment despite life's dirtiness in yourself and others. So that despite life's dirtiness is don't wait for life to be perfect. Life's about being happy, but I chose joy instead because if it's happiness and you're not happy one day, then it's like, am I a failure? Well, no, you can have a joyful life, and your happiness goes up and down, but just being happy, I don't think is enough. I think as human beings, we need progression, and we need fulfillment is driven from that progression. So, you could smoke weed all day down by the river, but you're missing out on that fulfillment. So that's why, it's the fulfillment / progression along with joy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Brother, if people wanted to connect with you, they're like, hey man, I want to do a franchise of Dirty Dough. I want this is awesome. Cause honestly, I'm sitting here going, this is pretty freaking amazing. How do they connect with you? What's the best place to really find what you guys are doing? Find out about this amazing mission that you're on. Where's the best place for them to connect with you online?
Yeah, BennettMaxwell.com. And that just has links to Dirty Dough website, which is easy too, dirtydough.com. But personal social media, I have a podcast that's all about joy and fulfillment. And I try to post every day, and it's mainly along these topics: mental health, business, sales, things like that.
Amazing, brother. Congrats on the success, but more importantly on finding your purpose, your why, and then sharing that to so many. I mean, you're giving so many opportunities to people out there, to 70 currently locations, which is going to 1,000. I'm getting behind it. I'm gluten intolerant. I can't even eat the damn cookie, but I can't wait to support the business. So thanks for coming on and sharing, brother. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, JM. It was a great time.
You guys, go check out Dirty Dough. I mean, I know my wife is going to absolutely go get one of these cookies. Bennett's a cool guy. He's having fun. And I love the way he takes adversity. He's like, okay, and let's do a cool billboard and crush it. It's such a cool look and outlook on life, and it makes sense why the business is growing so much. Go support him. Make sure to share this with someone that you love and care about. Until next time, remember your mindset matters. I appreciate y'all. We'll talk soon.